Okay, we are here making a wild yeast starter bread. I'm going to be doing it with spelt today instead of whole wheat flour. And we'll go through all the things that you need. And I'm doing this because so many of you had asked about my recipe and how to do it, and it's so complicated that sometimes it's not that complicated, but sometimes it's just better to do it on a video instead of having you all come here, or some of you can't get here, so on and so forth. So here we go. All right, so key, very important thing is you need a, what is this thing called?
The scale.
A scale. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Assistant. Okay, so you need a scale. And everything's done by weight, not by measurement. So I'm going to use this bowl. And then I weigh my bowl. Okay, zero that out. All right, so now I'm using a recipe book, but I've done this so many times that I know it's slightly different. So this says 4 1/4 ounces of flour, white flour, or all-purpose flour. Oops. Is that too much? Okay, hang on. Okay. And then 14 ounces of whole wheat flour. I'm using spelt today. And I use 15. And I may need more later. Just will depend on my starter. Okay. All right. Now I'm just going to stir this up. Another important bread making tool. I can't remember what it's called. All right, so you're just gonna mix this flour gently. Okay, now my starter. Okay, now this starter I've now had for 6 months. This is a whole process. My starter, it takes about 2 weeks to make. It's wild yeast, so it's from the atmosphere. And I will be giving you the website address for how to make your starter, because this is something you have to first do before you can even make this recipe. So, okay, so let's see. I need 10 ounces of water. Okay. And filtered water is preferable. Oh, I'm going to need more than this. Okay. So 10 ounces of water. Zuma. Okay. Okay. Oops. It's always good to have a utensil around to, if you over pour. Okay, 10 ounces of water, 2 tablespoons of honey. I use raw honey. Any kind of honey is fine. I like to use raw, local honey if possible. It says 2 tablespoons, but it's like 1 ounce. One ounce, perfect. Okay, now, that's yummy. My favorite snack. Okay, and starter. All right, so before I pour my starter, you can see my starter is very light and fluffy and batter-like. I'm gonna give it a nice big stir before we start, before I pour it. Okay. Now it's 14 ounces of starter, ripe starter, okay? So, this is a messy business. Okay. Oops. Pour that into my water. Now this is really critical that you do this by weight, because depending on how ripe or unripe your starter is, will depend on how much you need. So it's best, you must do it this way. Oopsie. Put a little, just a tad too much. Okay, good. All right, so now I'm gonna take my starter honey and water, lovely, and mix that all up. Okay. Okay, so this gets very well mixed together. Looks like a very liquidy batter. Okay, now I'm going to take my starter honey water mix and pour it right into the flour. Okay. And this is going to be what we call the autolyze phase. And this is the very important phase that breaks down the gluten in the wheat so that we don't, so this becomes a lower gluten bread. Not gluten free, probably, you know, somebody who had celiac wouldn't be able to eat this, but someone who's just avoiding gluten and just is craving bread or wants to lower their gluten intake to decrease inflammation, those kinds of things, then this is a great bread. It's extremely nutritious, and it's good. Now, my dough is very wet right now, and that's okay. I'm just gonna let this, just gonna stir this gently a couple times, and then, so that all the flour and the liquid are together. And you can see it's quite sticky, and I want it that way for now. We'll be adding more flour later if necessary. Okay, so that's the first phase. And now I'm gonna let this rest for 30 minutes. What I do is I cover this up, and I keep it in a warm kitchen. I'm gonna cover it and let it rest. So that's all for the first phase, and then I'll be back in 30 minutes and we'll add the salt and do a little bit of kneading. Okay? And that's the first phase. Okay, all right, so now we're at the next fermentation process, and I'm gonna take this out and we just add salt. So this phase, we only add the salt, and this I do by measuring. I don't need to weigh this. 1, 2. Okay. Now I'm just gonna combine this salt, and it says to avoid adding flour, but you really can't avoid it. It has to be added in order to make the dough. And you just have to know by the feel. The more you do it, the more you get the feel of what the dough should be like. So, I'm gonna just take this dough out of the bowl now. So it's slightly tacky, and I'm going to add some more flour, just a little bit more, and work it in. So I'll just do a gentle kneading, and it just gets smooth. So you can see it's nice and soft, but still a little bit tacky. Okay. All right. And that's basically it for the second phase. That's a tough one. Add salt, knead a little bit, get it soft, and then you're going to we're going to let this ferment for an hour and a half. I need the bowl. For an hour and a half, I'm going to put it back into the bowl. You can see its texture. See, it's a little sticky. It kind of sticks to my hands. That's good. You want it like that. Okay. And then cover it. Hour and a half. We'll be back. And that's it.